Most of my meetings are big, international in scope. They're cool, they're hot, they're sexy. That's just how I roll. But I have been known to be a little intimate at times, so I'm ready to learn about audiovisual for smaller meetings. After all, it's not the size of the meeting that matters, it's how you use the AV. So let's watch and see if we both can't make a greater impact at even the smallest meetings.
We're speaking with Carrie Abernathy, a director at Practice Green Health.
Thank you.
Carrie, how are you?
Good, thank you for having me.
And Laurie Knapp, Vice President Global Sales, PSAV.
Good afternoon, Bill.
Welcome. Let's get started with you, Laurie.
Okay.
Our subject today is audiovisual for smaller meetings. And my question to either of you is, I guess I'll ask you, Laurie, what the heck is a smaller meeting?
Well, you know, it's super hard to define, Bill, because the reality is it depends on your reference point. So we have some organizations that think 200, 300, 400 attendees is a small meeting, and other organizations that think 15, 20, 25 people is a small meeting. So it's really all relative. But one of the things, whether you have 25 attendees or 2,500 attendees, it's really about the focus on the attendee experience. And that's where we can help with technology solutions.
And Carrie, is that your experience, that it's not about the size of the meeting?
It's absolutely correct, and you're right, it is a reference point. I've worked in meetings from 5 people to 15,000 people, and now that I'm done with the 15,000 person meeting, a 1,000 meeting feels really small to me, but for others, it's a very large meeting. So it really, you're exactly right, it's about the attendee experience, whether they want to come back and what they feel overall during that meeting.
Do you think your perspective from a planner standpoint, and Laurie, from your perspective, seeing and working with planners, that planners in smaller organizations feel that I'm not able to have, I guess I'll ask you, Carrie, I'm not able to have the things that bigger meetings have? Is that there's assumption of that?
Absolutely, and you hear that a lot. You get fixated on a budget, and you think, well, I can never have what a large PCMA meeting has or a 15,000 person meeting has, because you get fixated on the numbers. And it's really important that you develop that supplier relationship, because a lot of times you'll figure out that you really can go further with the budget, and that they are here to help us out.
And that's, from your standpoint, the case also, Laurie, that you hear planners say, I can't.
I think we see that all the time, and I think for us it's really about trying to understand what the objectives of the meeting are. And then trying to tailor AV and event technology solutions around those objectives. And that way we can really provide what the customer needs. We don't want to put technology into the room just for technology's sake.
Right.
We want it to have a purpose, we want it to enhance the learning, and once we know what those objectives are, we can start with just core scenic elements. Do things with lighting that are very impactful. Do things with audio that can help out. So just a lot of the same things that we do across any size meeting.
Yeah, and I think it's important to also recognize that just because it's a small meeting doesn't mean that it's not an important meeting. And some people get in that mindset, and it really blocks them from taking it to the next level with innovation.
Yeah, I think one of you had said it could be a meeting of 12, but if it's the board of directors, It's pretty darn important.
Absolutely.
It's an important meeting.
Yeah.
And how do we do this? Because I'm thinking planners are multitasking, overworked,
Right.
never have enough money. And it's a never-ending list of things that somebody wants the meeting to accomplish.
Absolutely.
How do you start thinking strategically or forgetting about the size of the meeting? What do I do?
Well, it's best if you get in that mindset, you talk to other people who have worked in meetings your size and even bigger meetings, and start throwing around some ideas. Go out with an RFP and start finding that strategic partner, and not just an AV supplier who's willing to work with you on the technology and take it to that next level, and to bring new ideas to you. And at the same time, I feel like we push back and bring new ideas to them. So as long as you have that right person and that right relationship, then it really does expand your events.
And you mentioned some key words there, I think, which is look at an AV supplier as a partner, not as a supplier or a vendor.
Absolutely, yeah. If you don't go in that direction, then you're never going to succeed in a really innovative meeting, because you'll be stuck doing the same thing year over year and not realize the full potential of what there is out there. And there's a lot of innovative, great stuff right now.
Absolutely, and I think it's maybe taking some of the things that you do in your larger meetings and just scaling them to the smaller meetings. So I know for us, we see a lot of customers that are so used to mobile apps with their large meetings, and they want to have that same experience in their smaller meetings. And there's certain parts of that are so relevant, like driving the content. That's, we all have iPhones, we all have tablets. We want to have the content on that mobile device, even if it's a small meeting. We want to still have that content delivery in the same way, and there's ways to do that with not going with a large custom app, but tailoring a small, a la carte app that may work for you. And I think a lot of times we can talk to a customer and say, what is it that you really love about your big meeting that you want to deliver to your smaller meetings? Right. What is the feeling that you want to create? There's so much that you could do with lighting and audio, and we also counsel our customers to look at the way that information is presented. Something as simple as putting text and images together will enhance the learning. So it's about bringing all of that planning into the small meeting process for a really effective event.
If I were a planner, to be a contrarian for a moment, and I were to say, gee, I have a small meeting, I can't get an AV provider, sorry, Laurie, to take me seriously, because I'm just small potatoes to them. I mean, they're going to fall all over themselves for your 15,000 meeting for 500. I'm sorry, I can't.
Right,
is that something people might, is it true, first of all, and secondly, would they believe that?
Unfortunately, yes, and I've worked and pushed back on that throughout the years in the industry that I've been in, and you really have to look at your supplier and say, look, my meeting may not always be this size. Mm-hmm. My meeting's growing, grow with me and push me to that next level and help me bring in more attendees because it's such an innovative conference. Right. And I've received really great feedback when I go at it that way.
And I think all of your AV providers really want to partner with you. They want to understand where you're going, what the importance of this meeting is, and how they help you drive a really successful, not only event, but that the attendees walk away and feel like they were highly engaged. Gone are the days where you just said, oh, I just need a slide projector, and it's much different. Everyone's looking for the same experience that they're getting in a big meeting, and there's very many ways that you can do that, just like I said, with very small scenic elements to get a big impact.
Well, and I don't know the statistics, but I would just argue intuitively that there are probably more small meetings than big meetings. I mean, if you add up a 12-month period, there would seem to be more of those interactions that are kind of fast and small. And
again, it depends on what you think a small meeting is.
Right,
so,
well,
yeah,
you're back
yeah.
to, and that's very important. So where do you think this is all heading? I mean, do you think we'll ever get to a point where the issue of size will just simply go away? That everybody will say it doesn't really matter?
I think it's going in that direction. I would hope so.
I agree. I think that people are, as we've said all along, it's really about that attendee experience and what they want. So it doesn't matter if it's big or small, medium size, they want to have that experience.
Right.
I think it's part of the planner's role to take it to that next level. They can either keep it a small meeting with not a lot of technology and be focused on the budget, or they can work with a strategic partner and really take it to that next level. It's on us to take that next step.
Any advice as we close, Laurie, if you had a room full of planners and you were talking on this subject, anything we haven't said that you'd like to share with them?
I would just always say, please share what you're trying to accomplish in the meeting. Share your meeting goals with your AV provider. They can help take you there. They have lots of techniques, lots of solutions, and they can scale them to your meeting and help with your budgetary concerns.
Perfect. Carrie? Final words to the planners out there?
Well, they say that age is only a number, and so you have to think that budget is only a number as well when it comes to...
Well, I love it when you talk like that. It's only a number.
It's only a number, but you know what? People and our, again, strategic suppliers and strategic partners can make it work for you, and they can give you some level of what you're looking for in your range. So don't get scared because of the number. You can be innovative too.
The idea of looking at an AV provider as a partner, I'm sure they would endorse that same feeling. Just
absolutely. It always works much better when you work from a partnership framework.
Perfect. Carrie, thank you.
Thank you.
Laurie, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys are terrific.
Thanks,
Very
Bill.
informative. Thank you.
Good.
We've been speaking with Laurie Knapp, Vice President Global Sales PSAV, and Carrie Abernathy, Director at Practice Green Health, on the subject of audiovisual for smaller meetings.